Other questions from the audience? Yes, Sue.
Sue Hansen. I just have a question about some of your initial first steps in terms of making this a more business-friendly state. What would you do to either attract new businesses or at least maybe make it more business-friendly for people to stick around? Initial first steps.
Okay, we'll begin with Bruce.
Thank you. Some of the first steps, Sue, I've actually started to take. As I described before, people have come to me and said, what are we doing for small business? Why aren't we business-friendly? And it was stated earlier that Colorado actually has been shown by Forbes magazine and other studies that we're one of the top 5 in the nation for being business-friendly. We need to get that publicized. We need to get that out there. We have a lifestyle here that's very desirable for people. We need to maintain our education standards because that'll help bring people in. But what I have done was brought forward these experts to show what kind of programs can be out there, how to acquire government contracts, how to look at consulting for free, basically to become more efficient in the businesses that already exist. And I think that this has been well received in these town meetings that I have already started out there to try and encourage people to stay in business or the entrepreneurs to get in business and have new ideas. I was a Senate sponsor, House Bill 1001, which is renewable energy standard, which will bring thousands of jobs to the state. And I think we just need to capitalize that in Southwest Colorado.
Thank you. Ellen.
Well, I think government needs to get out of the way, and that includes state government. This summer, and as a legislator, I answer constituent calls all the time. And you may not know this, but we don't have any staff. We don't have any office, and we get paid $30,000 a year, so we don't have a lot of resources. What that means is I'm on the phone or I'm emailing with my constituents all the time. What I'm hearing from small business is we've not done enough. What we have done is we have frightened a lot of small business owners to the point where they're thinking of leaving our state. That's a real problem. We've also scared off big business. I sat in finance committee and watched Quest try and explain what we, the Republicans, call the dirty dozen, but when Governor Ritter repealed a number of tax credits and exemptions essentially overnight, that sent a message across the country, not just the state. So I think we've done a poor job of keeping existing businesses in the state. We need to reduce regulatory burden. We need to be more customer friendly. We need to view the taxpayer as the customer.
Thank you. Bruce, would you like to respond?
Sure. I too believe, small business is critical to the return of the economy in the state. And we need to help people get to that point. The Governor's Office of Economic Development and International Trade has several programs that I don't even think people know that are out there. And that's been what we have found when we've been out to town meetings. I would like to comment on the salary the legislators make. They do make $30,000 a year, and I can tell you from my perspective, if it was about the money, I wouldn't be there. I'm there because I truly believe I can make a difference for you in the Colorado State Senate, and I represent your interests.
Ellen.
Well, I support economic development, but what I think we need to wean ourselves off of is the idea of there's always going to be a grant, there's going to be a tax credit, a workshop, such as what Bruce has been holding. We need to let the private sector develop. We need to look again, and seriously, I would say that we need to, across the board, have budget cuts that are implemented, like was earlier discussed, by department heads. But we have actually seen a growth in state government year after year. In the past 4 years, it is actually, we've had cuts in growth. We have not had cuts in spending. This is upon us. It's time to make the hard decisions. It means we're going to have to say no. It means some of you in this room might not like some of the cuts, but it is here. And again, with that constitutional requirement for a balanced budget, it shouldn't be by smoke and mirrors. It needs to be the real deal. We know this economic recession that's hit Colorado is going to last for the next several years. We need to get ready for it.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the audience? Yes, sir. Please state your name before the question.
I'm Jim Berger, and I have a question related to Colorado PARA, the State Retirement Fund, and it's under considerable scrutiny. You see it on Fox News all the time. Please tell us where you stand as to what you would do to fix PARA for the long term, considering the shortage of state funds. And I understand Senate Bill 1, so take it from there, please. Thank you.
We'll begin with Ellen.
Well, on the Finance Committee, PARA is is underneath the finance committee. So I've spent a lot of hours listening to the para board. I also, in my house district, spent a lot of time going to the para meetings out in the district with the beneficiaries. I supported Senate Bill 1. It was a bipartisan bill to make some inroads into the reform needed. Para is the state pension plan. Across the nation, states are struggling with benefits that have been promised without the ability to pay for them. So we have a commitment to current retirees in terms of para benefits, but what we're going to have to look at is a couple of different things. First of all, the composition of the para board members. That's come up time and again, including up here in the Montrose area, whether it's appropriate to have the current composition, or do we need to have non-para members on there. We need to look at, and it often comes up, is it time to move to defined contribution instead of defined benefit? There's huge resistance. What I would say, and this is from para beneficiaries, I'd like to see Senate Bill 1 work for a bit and see if we can get to fiscal solvency, and then we may need to go further.
Thank you. Bruce.
Thank you. The Senate Bill 1 was a very difficult bill, and it was the first one that was introduced in the Senate, and that's because it was a high priority by both parties to try and maintain the solvency of the para fund. Right now, I support the defined benefit plan. I think we have an obligation to the current para recipients to continue to meet that fund. I think in the future, defined benefits, giving the layout of Senate Bill 1, I believe that we can maintain solvency and still maintain the defined benefit. I also believe that there should be an option for new employees. If they want to manage their own funds, they could choose to go with a defined contribution. Senate Bill 1 reduced the cost of living adjustment for people who are already in the system, and I think that will really be the quick turnaround in the para fund. They also reduced the rate of return, projected rate of return from 8.5% to 8%, and it does appear that the investments are coming in stronger than that. So I believe with the work we've done in Senate Bill 1, that the fund will be solvent in the future.
Thank you. Ellen, would you like to respond?
Well, I would say Senate Bill 1 for me was not a difficult bill. What I appreciated was that people were ready to come to the table, because it's not okay to have unfunded liabilities extending out into the future without taking some dramatic steps. So what I find questionable is the 8% return. I listened to the arguments in front of the Finance Committee. Again, we'll go with it for now, but I want to see that. I wish I could get 8%. I think most of us are looking at 1.5% if we're lucky. So that we have to be very realistic. And that's what I ask people who are para beneficiaries to be, is realistic, and to also think about the future. We want people to go into teaching jobs, but if we push all the burden on future beneficiaries or current beneficiaries, that's very difficult. So it currently is mired in the lawsuit over the adjustment to the COLA for the existing retirees. We'll have to see how that turns out, but I think it was a courageous step that we needed to take. I'm not sure we're done.
Thank you. Bruce, your response.
Yes, I would like to respond and reiterate it was a difficult bill for me, and partly because I heard from a number of my constituents that were already having a hard time making it. And we start talking about a reduction in their cost of living. They may have been a teacher for 20 years, 30 years, and don't have much retirement. They could have been a custodian of the school. And when you see increase in heating costs and fuel costs, it impacted them. And when my constituents are impacted, that does make it difficult for me. But I believe in the long run it was a fair compromise, and it was really a three-step with increased employee contributions as well as employer contributions in the future, and then the cost of living adjustment was reduced. And I think people understood that everybody was going to have to share that pain a little bit, but it was hard because my constituents were impacted. Many of them are on fixed incomes and were having a difficult time already making it in this tough economy.
Thank you. I'll intersperse a question from the cards here. Colorado has some of the lowest extraction fees in the region. Are you in favor of increasing these fees? And we'll begin with Bruce.
The extraction fees in regard to oil and gas production?
I'm assuming. If someone who wrote the question would like to clarify that. Let's go with that assumption.
Okay, I'll go with that assumption. That's the lowest. Could you read the question one more time? I'm sorry.
Colorado has some of the lowest extraction extraction fees in the region. Are you in favor of increasing those fees?
To be honest with you, I would have to look a little bit more and look at the dollar amounts that are currently being, the fees that are charged for extraction. And you know, before you jump into something like that, that could have an impact on the industry and might not be cost effective. I think we should let the rules that are currently in place drive that, and I don't know that I would need to study that further and understand the impacts of any increase in extraction fees and how that could impact the industry.
Thank you. Ellen?
Well, I could say, no, I wouldn't support an increase in those fees. And I think it goes back to, are we encouraging business to come and do their business in the state, or are we sending a signal out? If by extraction fees we're talking about an increase in severance tax, certainly severance tax is a very important income, including in the energy impacted communities. And this is one region. The West End and Montrose County is another. And down in La Plata County. We're down in La Plata County, it's the largest natural gas producer in the state of Colorado, but we're on the decline as far as that goes. So we've got a lot of counties that are scrambling to try and figure out what their future is. I think, again, though, increasing fees at this time would be a mistake.
Thank you. Bruce, would you like to respond?
I guess I'd just respond in regards to severance tax fees. Those were out there to help these local communities that have been impacted. And recently, the governor did have a proposal to use some of those severance tax fees to balance the budget, which I'm sure was a difficult decision for him to make. But then again, we live in difficult times right now, and there aren't many places to go to balance the budget. But it has had an impact. I had some reservations about that. I think we will probably see more of that. So to increase fees just to go back and try and balance the budget, I would not be in favor of. Again, I think it would have an adverse impact on the industry that is just now starting to come back up and increase their production. There's been about over 3,000 new permits that have been issued this year for well drilling in the state since up to June 21st. It looks like they could go up to about 6,500 this year. And as production increases, that means jobs, that means severance tax revenues, and will help the economy turn around.
Thank you. Ellen?
I just would like to say that, again, part of balancing the budget, I think it is not okay to dip into DOLA, and which is the Department of Local Affairs, as the governor has suggested, and take those funds away. Because there are a lot of projects that were out there, and again, I was out in the West End last week having a town hall meeting and heard directly from people who are impacted when that's a means, that's the smoke and mirrors, that's what people are saying. They're looking for those pockets of money that you're going to balance the budget on instead of reducing spending. So we really need to look seriously at reducing spending. Another piece of it is we keep getting trapped into federal mandates. A bigger and bigger part of our state budget gets sucked away due to conditions and programs that Washington, D.C. has laid on the state. It is time, and certainly there's been a lot of discussion out there among people about when is the state going to start saying no, not only to new stuff, but stuff that we've gotten trapped in. I think that's a very important conversation we need to have right away.
Thank you. This time, are there questions in the audience?